Okay, good afternoon to all of you. Good evening. And today we're going to start the lesson chapter 5, grade 10, operating system. Okay, so operating system, you can see when you compare the questions, your final questions, there would be a 5 marks questions, 3 to 8 marks questions, approximate average 5. So 5 marks questions main operating system, maybe 3 to 8 marks comparatively. So there are some MCQs and compulsory questions, test questions. There are 10 questions are there in the first main questions, and that is mandatory. So you can see that one, and we are going to learn the operating system. I quickly explain the operating system. You know, the last class I explained the main concept of operating system. You can see that the your computer system can be categorized into 4 main parts. Number 1, hardware, software, liveware, and the firmware. So today we are going to discuss about the software and the firmware. So the operating systems operating system, when you start your PC, you can see there are some black screen and there are white color fonts and maybe HP, Acer, Dell, that logo, and thereafter maybe escape key, blue button, and so on. So then thereafter you can see the logo. Just popping up that logos, and after a few minutes or few couple of seconds later, you can see that your icons, menus, and desktop. So then you can use it. So until that is called the initializing process. Okay, so therefore, first in your operating system, before we move to the operating system, there is a concept of initial operations of a computers. So that is called the firmware area. Firmware we call as a BIOS or a CMOS. BIOS or a CMOS. BIOS means basic input output system. We can say that there is another term called CMOS. Okay, another term called CMOS. The CMOS or BIOS. Okay, so in these two terms, actually these both are same. I'll explain it one by one. The CMOS we call as a complementary metal oxide semiconductor. Okay, complementary metal oxide semiconductor. Okay, this is another topic. So what is this BIOS? And why do you want to learn the BIOS under the chapter 5? So, because I quickly explain this one, because and then thereafter software. For the software, we can categorize into two parts. Number one, system software, application software. So the system software we can categorize into operating system, utilities, and language translator. Language translator. So these are the area that we are going to cover. So the application, everyone knows about the application, the user directly. Actually, the lightware means the user. So the user directly accessing the computer, the interface of the computer. So the user uses their own their purpose. They can complete their purpose, tasks, objectives through these applications. So the word, our purpose is to create documents. Excel is created, you can use it for the accounting purposes. Database, maintaining database. So likewise, there are so many applications here there to complete, to fulfill the user's objective, user's purpose. So that is called application. So in the application also, there are two types of applications. Number one, applications package. So you know the MS Office package. For the Office package, you know Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Access, etc., etc. So this is all of them are compiled in a one single package, one single setup. Once you install that setup, you can see all of the combination of the records, softwares to be. You can see in that particular start button, Microsoft Office. You will see there are so many applications. Okay, so this is a one single example. Likewise, the Adobe Master Collections. Once you install the Adobe Master Collections, you can see just start Adobe and click the Adobe. You see that Photoshop, Illustrator, uh, uh, what do you call PDF, Adobe Reader, and there are so many applications. Okay, and here this is called application package. And after that, there are some applications. Uh, it just come along because VLC play. So there is nothing is there because just you can simply download VLC. We know all proprietary software and the license, the free open source software. VLC simply you can download it from internet, no any charges. Simply you can download it, you can use it. That is called VLC player. So simple install, you have that package, you have that one single software, then you can use it. Likewise, there are some softwares you can use it by using that just simple, only one software in that particular start button. Once you start application, you can see that one. It's in the VLC means once you click it, there is a VLC. So this is a application category. Because especially in this particular chapter, we are going to discuss about the firmware and the system software and the operating system and the utilities. There are language translator. So we will discuss about the very brief ideas about the utilities and the language translator. But the operating system, we are going to study in little more informations, not like an advanced level, but not like the previous, your grade 9 or something. It's little more information about that. But this is a very brief idea about the operating systems. Okay. So now I'm going to explain about this one because when you start your PC, you know, because just what is the operating system? Operating system and mono the operating system. So the operating system you call as the OS. So in your advanced level, there is a the full separate chapter. Advanced level, you see that there is a history of operating system and the file management, process management. When, what is going on when you click the exe file, and when you double click your files and folders, it is loading in the RAM and so on, so etc. Memory management. What are the messages are arranging in that order? There are so many details. But now we are going to discuss only the very briefing idea. It's very interesting topic because we use in daily life. Okay, it's available in our daily life. It's very simple. So quickly learn that how the initial stages when you switch on the PC, when you switch on the laptop, when you switch on your mobile phone even, that the same concepts are available. Okay, fine. I'll explain it. But this is a brief idea about what we are going to learn, the computer system software, application software, the firmware. Okay. Now let's think about the firmware. Firmware means what? It's a special software. You see that in your motherboard, there is a small battery. We call as a CMOS battery. We call as a CMOS battery. In very close by, there is a small chip called CMOS chip or BIOS chip. This is a hardware because chip. But inside the chip, there is a software that's set up. We call as a BIOS setup or a CMOS setup. BIOS setup or a CMOS setup. When you click, when you switch on the PC, you can see there's a black screen and the vice fonts are there. Then when you click the escape button or F9, F12, there are some instructions are in the lower part in the screen. And maybe if you want to format your PC, if you want to if you want to install your operating system, but technically we use the term called formatting. Okay, so that we use this setup. Okay, so the desk setup is it's kind of a there is a main options. When you switch on that one, it's directly the electricity pulses are going and wake up the BIOS. And the BIOS, I'll explain step by step. So the BIOS, what will happen? It will be check all the motherboards, relevant hardwares, and all of the RAM and such a things. Once it is fully scanned, and that will be moved to the MBR, Master Boot Record. What do you mean by the Master Boot Record? I will explain little by little. But the Master Boot Record, it quickly access the Master Boot Record. And after that one, if there is a Master Boot Record, and it will be called the boot execution, that the operating system exe format. And once it is loaded into the RAM, you will see the Windows logo is on that. It takes a couple of seconds to complete their task, complete the transferring the data from your hard disk to a RAM. Once it is loaded, you see that the Windows button, taskbar, desktop icon, and it might be take some few seconds to load all of the rearrangement of your system. Okay, this is how it is working. Okay. So I explained briefly about the operating system initial tasks, initial operations, and I'll quickly explain about the remaining part. I take some photos and I'll share to your WhatsApp group. Okay. I hope you understood this concept. Give me a minute, just. Okay. Okay, look at this step. Very easiest one. I just switch on the PC. Now, if a PC on, now switch on power. Okay, just power on. Let's say power on. The step is power on. Maybe your laptop or a PC, just simply click your power on button. Then what will happen? The electricity it just direct to access your BIOS, basic input and output system. In the BIOS, there is the technical term called, there's a small the area, that method we call as a post power on self test. Post we call as a power on self test. It gives the definition or the function of the post by itself. Other term what do you mean by that? Power on self test. When you switch on the power, it quickly check all of the self testing part. So because in this BIOS, you can see the black screen and so on, so on, so. Because when you switch on that one, you also can just try. Not the laptop, the PC. Just remove your keyboard and the mouse and switch on the PC. You can see fatal error, keyboard missing fatal error, or IO missing fatal error. What do you mean by that? Because when you switch on that one, it goes to the BIOS. And the BIOS, there is a term called post, power on self-test. It quickly checks all the important vital part of to smoothly run your operating system. If there is any problem, it gives some symptoms, maybe a beep sound and the black screen, there's a message, or maybe it takes some time to load. I hope you have seen that one. When you switch on that one, there's a, I think the boot sequence, boot loader is missing, or maybe booting device missing, because each and every operating system, each and every PC, according to the motherboard manufacturers, might be gives a different terms also. So you can see there are some issues. So why? Because when you switch on that one, the BIOS is taking all when all of the records are okay, then it gives a permission to run. Go to the MBR part. MBR is also under the BIOS, because it is also available in the BIOS. MBR means master boot record, because it checks whether your bootable executable format or executable that file is whether it is available in the your hard disk drive or CD-ROM or DVD or pen drive and etc. etc. Because nowadays we do not use a DVD or CVD because now it's outdated. But now we use a pen drive to load your operating system when you format it. But now we call as a master boot record, because when you switch on the button, it goes to the power BIOS and it checks the power on self-test, check all the records, whether all the motherboard, RAM, hard disks, and all of the records, all of the equipments are properly work. And then once it is okay, confirmed, then it gives a priority to check your boot record through the BIOS. If your hard disks, it consists or contain with the exe file of your Windows, then it execute and it runs the bootloader. We call it as a bootloader. Okay, we call it as a bootloader. And the bootloader, what will happen? This will be runs into the RAM. Okay, so when you but this particular things, it execute the setup and take all the records and transfer into the RAM. This is called bootload execution. Then only once it is loading, once all the files are loaded into the RAM, then you can see the Windows desktop icons. Okay, my dear students. So these are the steps in this particular area. Maybe they might give you in your questions paper. So maybe BIOS, post, and MBR, and bootloader, and then RAM, and Windows. This is a basic step because I explained all of the method because when we explain the formatting part. So the students I usually explain about how to format the PC in the advanced level, and I did computer hardware, networking, lecturing part also, because when we are lecturing that hardware part, we must explain about the CMOS chip and the motherboard components physically, and I usually explain all the step-by-step performance, and then only you can easily understand. Okay, my dear students, I quickly explain this again. When you switch on the power button நீங்க click பண்றீங்க, click பண்ண போக்குள்ள direct அது BIOSக்கு போகுது, BIOSல போயிட்டு power on self test ஒரு அந்த மெத்தடை கால் பண்ணது, அந்த கால் பண்ணி உங்களோட motherboard, RAM, CMOS chip and etc எல்லாத்தையும் செக் பண்ணுது. எல்லாம் செக் பண்ணி ஓகேன்னு சொன்னா அதுக்கு பிறகு MBR boot recorder ஒன்று இருக்குது. அப்ப இது boot recorder சொன்னா இந்த boot loader எந்த டிவைஸ்ல இருக்குதுன்னு ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணும். ஓகே, அப்ப ஹார்ட் டிஸ்க்ல தான் யூசுவலா C and but the partitionல விண்டோஸ் என்ற ஃபைல் உள்ளுக்கு .exe ஃபைல் ஒன்று ரன் ஆகும், அதுதான் boot loader. அந்த boot loader ரன் ஆக போகல அது ரெம்முக்கு போயிட்டு லோட் ஆகும். இந்த boot loaderல ஏதாவது ப்ராப்ளம் வந்தா, if there is any problems in this bootloader, you can see some mobile phone, Android or iOS. When you switch on that one, it gives all the screen on and so on, so but etc. Finally, it just looping that process. What do you call that logo? Logo is circling, and it just restart it again, and again it gives black screen and etc etc. Suddenly it's the freeze on that logos, again it goes to the starting position. So the same way operating system, Windows also look like the similar. So நீங்க PC on பண்றீங்க, இந்த எல்லா action நடக்குது, logo அப்படியே circle ஆகுது, so then stop and restart it again. So அப்ப இந்த process continuous நடக்கும். If there is any problem with this bootloader, அப்ப bootloader ஏதாவது problem இல்ல. So ICT நாங்க எக்ஸாம் மட்டும் ஃபோக்கஸ் பண்ணல, எங்களோட லைஃப் லாங்கா எல்லா ப்ராப்ளம்ஸுக்கும் நான் ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்றேன். ஸோ இப்போ மொபைல் ஃபோன் ஐஃபோனா இருக்கலாம், ஆண்ட்ராய்டா இருக்கலாம், பிசியா இருக்கலாம், லேப்டாப், நோட்புக், டேப், எல்லாத்துலேயும் ஆப்ரேட்டிங் சிஸ்டம் தான் ரன் ஆகும். We use everywhere in the mobile devices, maybe watch, smartwatch, everywhere. So if you use the term called smart devices, definitely there's a term called operating system, maybe a Windows, Android, or Arduino, or maybe something that relevant to the uh, Apple OS, iOS, or Mac OS, and etc. So therefore, the bootloader is the main problem. If this have any problem that file corruptions, then you can't run your system. So then what you have to do, you have to repair your bootloader or repair your operating system, and then you can recall that. Recall means you can start your operating system. So this is the basic idea about this one, my dear student. So please remember this word, press power on and post inside the BIOS, and the MBR is also inside the BIOS, and the RAM, which means the bootloader. This is called bootloader, and thereafter, then you can see the Windows file. Okay, my dear students. So please take this note, and you can see the page number. What do you call it? Page number 33. You can see there is a picture, and what is the meaning of the firmware, and the booting instructions stored in the ROM are called firmware. That is what you call as a firmware. This is called ROM, read only memory. This is a battery because this is a ROM chip. read-only memory. So maybe we call as a CMOS battery, CMOS chip, and the BIOS chip. This hardware term called ROM because the manufacturer only can install the ROM read-only memory, and no one can erase it because there are some PROM, EEPROM, EPROM concepts. So I'm not going to explain it. Just let's assume that according to the GCE O-level syllabus, don't think like that, just ROM. It's a ROM, read only memory. There is no options to load and you can't erase, you can't format it that one. It's read only memory means you only can read. You can't write. Okay. So there is no privilege to write that one. Okay, you have a permission to access those stuff. Okay, these are the example of that one, and maybe you can copy this, my dear students. Here there is the steps, boot instructions stored in the ROM and so on. Okay, my dear students, so please take this note. Explain பண்றது ஏதாவது problem இருந்தா கேட்டுக்கோங்க. If you have any questions or any problems, please let me know. I'll explain it. Very basic idea. Okay. So now you understood the concept of the operating system, how the operating systems works, and இது எப்படி work பண்ணது. The operating system, it's not a, it's very simple term, my dear students. So please, உங்களுக்கு டைம் ஒன்று இருந்தா பிசியில கொஞ்சம் கலட்டி பாருங்க. மதர் போர்டிக்கும் அதுல சிமோஸ் பேட்டரி ஒன்று இருக்கும். அதுக்கு பக்கத்துல ஒரு சிப் ஒன்று காணுவீங்க. ஓகே, அப்ப அந்த சிப்ல சம்டைம்ஸ் பயோஸ் போட்டு இருக்கும், இல்லாட்டி சிமோஸ் போட்டிருப்பாங்க. கிகாபைட் மதர் போர்டு, ஏசூஸ் மதர் போர்டு, இந்த மாதிரி பிராண்டட் மதர் போர்டில் நீங்கள் பார்ப்பீங்க. மெயினாக கிகாபைட்டில் எப்படியும் இருக்கும் ஃபாக்ஸ்கான் மதர் போர்டு. இந்த மாதிரி கிகாபைட் ஸ்பெஷலாக கேமிங் மதர் போர்டை நீங்கள் பார்ப்பீங்க. ஸோ அப்போ அந்த மாதிரி இதில் பார்க்க போகல யூஸ்வலாக அதில் சில சில டேர்ம்ஸ் யூஸ் பண்ணிப்பாங்க. R9, D1, அப்போ அந்த டேர்மை வச்சு எங்களுக்கு ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணலும் இது வந்து கெப்பாசிட்டரா, ரெசிஸ்டரா, மைக்ரோ சிப்பா, இல்லாட்டி இது சிப்பா, அப்போ விஜே இருக்கும், அது ஒரு ஃபேன் ஒன்று இருக்கும், அந்த ஃபேனுக்கு கீழே ஒரு ஐட்டம் இருக்கும், அதுதான் சிபியு. அப்போ அது மாதிரி இதுக்கு மேலே இருக்கிறத ஹீட் சிங்க்னு சொல்லுவோம். அதுக்கு மேலே ஃபேன் ஒன்று இருக்கும், மேபி லிக்விட் சிஸ்டம் போட்டிருப்பாங்க கேமிங் பிசிக்கு. ஸோ இப்போ இந்த மாதிரிலாம் அந்த டீட்டெயில்ஸை பார்ப்பீங்க. அப்போ ரெம் வந்து ஸ்லாட்ல கனெக்ட் பண்ணிக்கிறத பார்த்துப்பீங்க. மேபி ஒன்று இல்லாட்டி ரெண்டு இது பிசிக்கு, லேப்டாப்லேயும் அது மாதிரி தான். பட் you don't have permission to remove all the laptop's records. And I think I have shared my WhatsApp, sorry, my YouTube channels. Maybe you can see my YouTube channels. I have shown that laptop how to remove that one, and there are some. Especially I conduct the sessions for the O level also, and A level. What are the components are in the laptop, and you can see that it's physically you can see that one. So the கலட்டி பார்க்க போக்குள்ள எங்களுக்கு இருக்கிற அந்த satisfaction, it's great because it's more skill. Because recent Dr. Harani, but Prime Minister, she even mentioned that don't just only focus on the exams, try to build the skill. ஓகே, இப்போ இதுக்கு பிறகு வர லைஃப் வந்து ஸ்கில்லை பேஸ் பண்ணி வரப்போகுது. ஐடியா இருந்தாலும் சரி, எந்த நாலேஜா இருந்தாலும் அதை ஸ்கில் பேஸுக்கு கன்வெர்ட் பண்ணலாம்னு சொன்னா தென் இட் இஸ் த்ரெட், தேர் இஸ் அ ப்ராப்ளம்ஸ். ஓகே, ஸோ ஃபியூச்சர் யூ சி தேர் ஆர் சோ மெனி டெவலப்மெண்ட்ஸ் ஆன் கோயிங். ஏஐ, பட் ஏஐ வர்றதால ஜாப்லெஸ் ஆகாது, ஜாப்ஸ் கூட போகுது. ஸ்கில் பேஸ்ட், வெறும் மெமரைஸ் பண்ணி ஒரு டார்கெட் பண்ண இயலாது. ஸோ ப்ளீஸ் திங்க் அபவுட் யுவர் ஃபியூச்சர் அண்ட் ஜஸ்ட் 9A டிபெண்ட் ஆகிறவங்களுக்கு 9A எடுங்க, நான் வானான்னு சொல்லல, பட் அதுல மட்டும் டிபெண்ட் ஆவாங்க. பட் வென் யூ ஆர் லேர்னிங் சம்திங் தட் டோன்ட் மெமரைஸ் தட், especially IT and maths, and try to understand. So try to figure out the key area. Then why do you want to use like that? And then thereafter, it's solid foundation. So you never forget about that one. ஸோ அது நீங்கள் மறக்கிறதுக்கு சான்ஸே இல்லை. ஸோ அதுமா ஐசிடி என்றாலும் மெமரைஸ் பண்ணுங்க. தமிழில் நிறைய ஆப்ஷன்ஸ் இருக்குது, ஹிஸ்ட்ரியில் நிறைய பாடமாக்கிறதுக்கு இருக்குது. பட் ஐசிடி, மேக்ஸ் அண்ட் சயின்ஸ் என்றாலும் பாடமாக்குற சப்ஜெக்டை குறைச்சிட்டு அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்டிங்கை கூட்டணும். ஓகே, ஸோ அப்போ பிரெயினில் மெமரைசிங் என்ற ஒரு கன்செப்ட் இருக்குது, அதை நான் யூஸ் பண்ணத்தான் வேணும். அது மாதிரி பட் எங்களோட டே டு டே லைஃப்ல இருக்கிற சில ப்ராப்ளம்ஸ் என்னது, இப்போ எங்களுக்கு சம்டைம்ஸ் எங்களோட பேரண்ட், உம்மாட அம்மாட அல்லது அப்பாட கண்டெக்ட் நம்பர் கூட மறந்துருக்கலாம். ஓகே, ஸோ மேபி ஆங்கிள் ஆண்ட் சம்டைம்ஸ் அம்மாக்கும் அப்பாவுக்கும் அடிக்கடி கால் பண்ண சுற்றி நினைவு இருக்கணும். ஆண்டி, மேபி சித்தப்பா, தெர் ஆர் சம் வெரி க்ளோஸ் ரிலேஷன்ஸ், அவங்களோட கண்டெக்ட் நம்பர் என்ன தெரியாது, or a best friend contact number தெரியாது, because you do not use your brain. Because just you can ask from your grandmother or maybe aunties, they use only the small book, telephone book and use பண்ணுவாங்க, அதுல மட்டும் தான் நோட் பண்ணுவாங்க. ஸோ அப்போ யாரோட பேரை கேட்டாலும் குயிக் அவங்க சொல்ல இனிமாய்க்கு. அப்போ எங்களோட பிரெயின் அடிக்கடி யூஸ் பண்ண போகல, எங்களோட பிரெயின் ஃபங்க்ஷன்ஸ் கூடும். ஸோ ஐடி என்ன வந்தாலும் handwriting, it's very important. So don't forget about that one. Take a blue color pen and take a white color thing and list down your objectives, future objectives. This is one of the key advice from the mentors, entrepreneurs, and so many success people. And even though you see that the Brian, I think Holland or something, he usually mentioned that one. Okay, just list down whatever your object. இப்போ இந்த 10 ஒரு 1 இயர்ல 2 இயர்ஸ்ல நீங்க என்னத்தை அச்சீவ் பண்ண போறீங்க லிஸ்ட் டவுன் பண்ணுங்க. அதுல முக்கியமான என்ன அதை பிக் பண்ணுங்க. ஸோ அப்படி உங்களுக்கு லிஸ்ட் டவுன் பண்ண இல்லாட்டி எதுக்கு நீங்க வாழ்றீங்க? ஓகே, அப்படி கொஸ்டின்ஸ் வரும். ஸோ entrepreneurs, so we need, especially for the Sri Lanka, we are developing country, there are so many potentials. Okay, tourism, it's wonderful opportunities are there. Tourism exposing a lot of things. Tourists வந்து கொண்டிருக்கிறாங்க, அதுல குவான்டிட்டி கூடிக்கொண்டே போகுது. ஸோ அடுத்தது எங்களோட ஐடி டெவலப்மெண்ட், ஐடியில 5 பில்லியன் 10 பில்லியனை டார்கெட் பண்றாங்க annual இன்கம். ஸ்ரீலங்காட எக்ஸ்போர்ட் பிஸ்னஸ் டாலரை ரைஸ் பண்றது, அது மாதிரி ஸ்ரீலங்காட எக்ஸ்போர்ட் பிஸ்னஸ் இப்போ இன்னைக்கு கூடிக்கொண்டு போகுது. ரப்பர், டீ, garments and etc. They all are focusing on that one. So there are so many. I don't want to explain any other political reasons or political things. But nowadays, I think it's very smoother environment for the youngers. Okay, there are so many programs ongoing with the but University of Kalani, University of Moratoa, Young Inventors Club, Young Inventors Program. Please participate on that. So try to develop your skill also. Okay, try to get the result as well as skill. Then only we can compete our the competitors, maybe India, UK, USA, everywhere. Because try to build our future generation. You all are our future generations. Okay, so if you can get a open a company, then that is a best way for us. Okay, and ஃபியூச்சருக்கு நிறைய கம்பெனிஸ், ஸ்டார்ட் அப் கம்பெனிஸ் தேவை, நிறைய ஸ்டார்ட் அப் கம்பெனிஸ் தேவை. ஸோ அதால நீங்க டிரெக்டா போயிட்டு ஸ்டார்ட் அப் கம்பெனி ஓப்பன் பண்ணுங்கன்னு சொல்லல. கெட் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் அண்ட் டோன்ட் ஜஸ்ட் ஒர்க் இன் த டெய்லி, அதாவது உங்களோட ஆர்டினரி எப்போ பார்த்தாலும் ஒரே லைஃப் ஸ்டைலில் இருக்காம ஒரு 2 years or 5 years, maybe maximum 10 years experience எடுங்க. So try to build your own empire. Okay, அது உங்களுக்கு மட்டும் இல்லை, உங்களோட லாங், உங்களோட அடுத்த ஜெனரேஷன், அதுக்கு அடுத்த ஜெனரேஷன். There are so many examples. Okay, Hamidias. Okay, just study about the Hamidias. Fawzul Hamid. Okay, he's from Zahira College. I think his father, he does not have much resources. Okay, maybe a small or uh, or tailoring shop. Other little by little அவங்க grow பண்ணாங்க. But thereafter அவங்களோட family Fawzul Hamid அவர் build பண்ணார். So nowadays Invoy, Hamidias, and there are so many examples. Likewise, Dhammika Pereira. You can see that uh, there are so many businesses. So most of them are, they came from the middle class, not the high end top, middle class or maybe lower middle class. Okay, so you also can build your own empire. So this is what we need. So what our Sri Lanka need. So the Sri Lanka provides free educations to build the future generations. Okay, so near the future generations. So we all are Sri Lankans. So try to build our empire. Even though if you want to go to the abroad and you can learn nothing, no problem at all. PR, permanent resident, no problem at all. But just try to dual citizen, try to build. Uh, there are so many examples are there, because I recently went to the Valampur Hotel at Jaffna, because I just asked about this history about the Valampur Hotel. அதை பத்தி ரிசர்ச் பண்ண டைம்ல அப்போ அதோட ஆனர் ப்ரோக்ராம் டைம் மீட் பண்ண கிடைச்சிச்சு. அப்போ அவர் கனடாவுக்கு மைக்ரேட் ஆகினாரு. அங்கே சின்னதாக ஜாப் பண்ணி மேபி ஒரு 1 month சேலரியை சர்வ் பண்ணி இங்கே டிபாசிட் பண்ண ஒரு இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணார் ஒரு லேண்ட்ல. அதுக்கு பிறகு ஒரு சின்னதாக ஒரு ஹோட்டலோட பில்ட் பண்ணார். அங்கே இருக்கிற 1 month சேலரி இங்க ஒரு பெரிய ஒரு லேண்ட் ஒன்று வாங்கியது, பெரிய ஒரு எம்பிஆர் ஒன்று கெட்டி கொண்டது. ஸோ multinational company are built பண்ண. Yeah, of course. So we need our leaders. We need that kind of leaders. So this is my small advice, not advice, request. So தாழ்மையான வேண்டுகோள். Okay, நீங்க தான் எங்களோட future generations. Okay, fine, thank you. So let's come to that subjects. So here, so ஏன் இந்த பாயிண்ட் சொன்னேன்னு சொன்னா ஸ்கில் டெவலப்மெண்ட் இந்த டைம்ல ரொம்ப இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். ஓகே, ஸ்கில் டெவலப்மெண்ட் ரொம்ப இம்பார்ட்டண்டா இருக்குது. ஸோ நாங்க இன்னொருத்தர டிபெண்ட் ஆகுறது இல்லை. ரொம்ப எக்ஸாம்பிளுக்கு பாரு, இட்ஸ் சூப்பர் பவர் USA. ஸ்டில் தே ஆர் ஸ்ட்ரகிளிங் டு ஃபைட் வித் ஈரான். ஈரானோட எதுல யாருக்கிட்ட நியாயமீக்கி யாருக்கிட்ட அநியாயமீக்கின்னு பேசுவாங்கல்ல. பட் ஈரான்ன்றது இக்கானமிக்கலி கிரைசிஸ் ஆகின ஒரு கண்ட்ரி, எங்களையும் விட கிரைசிஸ். அவங்களோட டாலர் ரேட் வந்து சரியான எக்ஸ்பென்சிவ். அப்படி இருந்து கூட அவங்ககிட்ட இருக்கிற வெப்பன்ஸ், அவங்ககிட்ட இருக்கிற அந்த மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் டேலண்ட், அதுக்கான ரிசோர்சஸ் அங்கே இருக்குது. ஓகே, ஸோ எங்களோட கண்ட்ரியை ப்ரொடெக்ட் பண்றது எங்களோட ரைட்ஸ், எங்களோட டியூட்டி. ஸோ அப்போ எங்களோட கண்ட்ரிக்கு யாரும் ஃப்ளைட் கொண்டு வந்து அடிச்சா அதுக்கு எப்படி நாங்கள் ட்ரோன் மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் பெரிய அளவுக்கு போயிட்டு கொண்டிருக்கு. ஓகே, இப்போ இன்னைக்கு யூஎஸ்ஏம் ட்ரெண்ட் பண்றாங்க ட்ரோன், ஈரான், ஈராக், மேபி ரஷ்யா, ஜப்பான், யூகே, அது ட்ரோன்ல வித்தியாசமான கடல்ல பாவிக்கிற ட்ரோன் யூஸ் பண்ணி கொண்டிருக்கிறாங்க. ஸோ தேர் ஆர் சோ மெனி டிஃப்ரெண்ட் ஐடியாஸ் ஆர் தேர். யூ ஆல் ஆர் ஃபியூச்சர். ஓகே, ஜஸ்ட் திங்க், எதை செஞ்சா எங்களுக்கு நிறைய இன்கம் ஜெனரேட் பண்ணிடும் அண்ட் எங்களோட கண்ட்ரிக்கு அதோட பெனிஃபிட் எடுக்கணும். ஸோ அப்போ கண்ட்ரி பெனிஃபிட் ஆகின ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்லி யூ வில் கெட் த பெனிஃபிட்ஸ். And not only for you, and you can spread among your families as well as your society. The benefits can be shared. Okay, and the benefits is உங்களுக்கு ஷேர் பண்ணிடு. ஸோ ஷேர் பண்ணுறது மீன்ஸ் உங்களோட சல்லி எடுத்துட்டு ஷேர் பண்ணுறது இல்லை. ஸோ அதால டெக்ஸ்ட் கெப்டுவீங்க, அந்த டெக்ஸ்டால ஸ்ரீலங்கா பில்ட் ஆகும், எக்கானமி பில்ட் ஆகும். திஸ் இஸ் அ ஒன் அண்ட் ஒன்லி வே to build our future generations. Okay, our leaders, you are our leaders. Okay, so fine. Now skill build பண்ணுங்க என்றதை தான் நான் சொல்றேன். மதர் போர்டு எடுத்து திறந்து பாருங்க. Just try to do something. Okay, fine. So then now you realize that how does the PC is working and how does the operating system starting initiate அது எப்படி எந்த இடத்துல எந்த பாயிண்ட்ல அது இனிஷியேட் ஆகும். So then software can be divided into system software, application software. Our system software means system software can be divided into three. Number one, operating system. So இதை பத்தி தான் நான் ஃபுல்லா பார்க்க போறோம். And utility software. Utilities. இந்த utilities மொபைல் போன்ல இருக்குமென்னு நினைக்கிறேன். நீங்க ஆன்லைன் அந்த டிஸ்க் கிளீனர். ஓகே, டிஸ்க் கிளீனர். And next one, what do you call C cleaner. இது வந்து third party software. அதே மாதிரி defragment, இதுவும் third party. I think it's free options இருக்குது, commercial options இருக்குது. டிஸ்க் டிஃப்ராக்மெண்ட் அது விண்டோஸ்ல இருக்கு. அப்ப நீங்க பிசியில நீங்க விண்டோஸ் 10 சொன்னா 11லயுமே இது விண்டோஸ் 10 மிச்சம் யூஸ் பண்றதுல விண்டோஸ் 10 யூஸ் சொல்றேன். ஸ்டார்ட்டுக்கு போயிட்டு அப்ளிகேஷனுக்கு போங்க. அப்ளிகேஷன்ல எக்ஸசரிஸ் ஒரு ஆப்ஷன் இருக்கு, எக்ஸசரிஸ். ஸோ அந்த எக்ஸசரிஸ்ல ஒன்று எக்ஸசரிஸ் இல்லாட்டி விண்டோஸ் எக்ஸசரிஸ். ஸோ 11ல எக்ஸசரிஸ் இருக்குது, 10ல விண்டோஸ் எக்ஸசரிஸ் இருக்குது. அப்ப அந்த ஆப்ஷனுக்கு போனீங்கன்னு சொன்னா ஓகே, அதுல நிறைய டீட்டெயில்ஸ் இருக்குது. அதாவது ஆன்லைன் கீபோர்ட், ஓகே, அது மாதிரி டிஸ்க் கிளீனர், நோட் பேட் அண்ட் சில சர்வீசஸ், அட்வான்ஸ் ஃபீச்சர்ஸ் அது. ஸோ அப்போ விண்டோஸ் எக்ஸசரிஸ், விண்டோஸ் அட்மினிஸ்ட்ரேட்டிவ் டூல், விண்டோஸ் ஈஸி ஆஃப் எக்ஸஸ், இது மாதிரி நிறைய டேர்ம்ல உங்களுக்கு செக் பண்ணி பார்க்கணும். அப்போ இதுங்க just go to the Windows and application application the Windows administrative tool, administrative tool, Windows accessories. Okay, so then easy access. So the options எல்லாம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னு சொன்னா there are so many different applications are there. Maybe power cells, Windows security, there are so many applications. Folders, then you just go through that one. You will see that these most of the there are so many administrative tools also available, but maybe you can see there are so many different applications that is completely maintainable purpose, because now we use a Windows because let's say that the temporary files are fulfilled. Then what to do? Because there are some applications to disk cleaner, and there are some options, remote desktop, snipping tool, snipping tool. Okay, snipping tool. Uh, Maybe voice recorder, step recorder. Likewise, you can see because these are utilities. So here, this is a steps. Because this is a Windows 10. For the Windows 11, start applications, administrative tool, and accessories. Likewise, you see that there are some difference. And this is a basic idea about the utilities. And thereafter, language translator. Because we will discuss this language translator in the chapter grade 11, chapter 1. The language translator, basically, there are some items of compiler. Because the compiler, it compiled all your source code, simply source code, convert into object code, then it will be run. Once you compile, you can run at any time. Directly you will see that. But the interpreter means the source code can be run, because you because in here you don't want to access this one, because once it is completed the source code, then you can execute as a object code, convert into the object code. Then once you double click, and you can see that maybe not only double click, there are Java C, and there are Java for the compiler example Java, for the interpreter Pascal. So source code, once it is finished the source code, and every time you must have to execute from the source code. So you can run this one. Do you understand? If there is any other mistakes, because here this is called line by line, this is compile at once. Okay, just read the first line and execute. Second line, execute. Third line, execute. Likewise. So this is a concept of interpreter. And there is a concept called assembler, because it is converting the assembler code into the machine code. Okay, here also you can machine code convert into the machine code and executable. But here source code run into the machine code. Assembler is also that it is converting the assembler language into the machine code. This is the concept of this language translation, my dear students. Okay, so this is a basic idea, and we'll start the topic operating system. Under the operating system, under the operating system, under the operating system, we are going to start Okay, under the operating system, you see types of operating system, and there's uh, the concept. You can divide it, the main function of an operating system. So these are the main two differences that we are going to learn. And please take this note, and I'll let you know about that. Adapati explain Panapur. Okay. Okay. First, operating system mean the definition or purpose of the operating system. Okay, so here uh, you see there is a hardware, CPU, RAM, and etc. Okay, so then uh, you see there are some special driver softwares and system utility softwares and etc. Then maybe a compiler, interpreter. Likewise, there are some activities are there, supportive softwares are there, and because maybe you see that even though if there is no operating systems, there is a supportive other systematical options are available. So therefore, let's say there is a system software. It's not an operating system, but meantime, there is a operating systems are there. Some operating systems, especially for the compiler, device driver, and etc. Then here operating system, then some functions is handled by the system, and once it is the system software is compiled, interpreted, assembled likewise, then it will be execute or access your hardware level. Of operating system சில functions direct access பண்ணாம system software போயிட்டு அதுக்கப்புறம் hardware reach ஆகும். ஸோ அதே மாதிரி சில software சில ஏரியா அது டிரெக்டாகவும் ஹார்ட்வேரை ரீச் ஆகும் சான்சஸ் இருக்கு. ஸோ அது இல்லாம ஸோ application software, because the application software is software we use or you fulfill our tasks. The user can directly access the application software, and through this one the operating system and system software and etc. Or maybe use application operating system and directly you can access the hardware without accessing the system software. This is the usual novice person's action. அதாவது டெக்னிக்கல் ப்ரோக்ராமர் இல்லாம இது மாதிரியான ஆட்கள் நான் இந்த மாதிரி பேட்டர்னை யூஸ் பண்ணுறேன். Then the user, some user directly, there are some options directly access your operating systems. Maybe you use a what do you call your partitions, and you see there are IP address and there are some network administrator and the IT manager or IT technicians directly access some features from the operating system. So this is also can be happen. So this is the basic options are available in the this one, okay, operating system. So and then now the operating system can be defined into two parts. Number one, types and functions. Types and functions. Okay, my dear students, types and functions. For the types, single user, single task, multi-user, multi-task. Just single user, single task, single user, multitask, third, multi-user, multitask, real-time operating system. For the function, user interface. First one, user interface. Second one, managing resources. Managing resources. This is what you are going to learn. Okay, my dear students. Because you know the operating system examples, I don't want to give that one. Operating systems, you know Windows, Linux, Ubuntu, and Fedora, maybe Arduino, CharacterOS, Kali Linux, and etc. etc. Okay, macOS. There are numerous options. Okay, please take this note. I'll give the example for this. Don't worry, I'll explain it because it's a very brief one. Okay. Okay, fine. The first part, single user, single task. Okay, my dear students, single user, single task. In the single user, single task, you can see that example MS-DOS. Still, you can use this method in the Windows 7 or 8 or 9 or not 9, 10 or 11, etc. Just go to the run command and type CMD, or maybe you can search in the type to search options are available in the Windows, and you can type just PowerShell or a CMD, because when you open that CMD, you can work one. That is a type of operating system that is called MS-DOS. Also look like similar, but this MS-DOS, you can, because when you open a Word, you can't do anything else. Only you can run on that one. Once you complete, okay, then only you close it. Once you close it, only you can see the background. Okay, you can't just minimize, maximize, nothing was there. So it's applicable for the single user, single task. அப்போ single user, single task MS-DOS. அப்போ MS-DOSல ஸ்க்ரீனை ஓப்பன் பண்ண வேர்ட் டைப் பண்ணிடும், கொண்டு சர்வ் பண்ணி க்ளோஸ் பண்ணாதான் அடுத்த ஆப்ஷனுக்கு ஓப்பன் பண்ணிடும். So this is a way that we were using the earlier version. Second one, single user multitask. Example, Windows 7, 8, 10, 11, macOS, எல்லா மெயின் microcomputers, all of the microcomputer operating systems works under the single user multitask. இப்போ even Android or Androidல நீங்க ஓபன் பண்றீங்க, ஓபன் பண்ணினா சேம் டைம் நீங்க மியூசிக் கேட்கலும், சேம் டைம் டைப் பண்ணலும், சேம் டைம் ஃபேஸ்புக் போயிடும். இப்போ நிறைய ஆப்ஷன்ஸ் வந்து இது மல்டி விண்டோ ஆப்ஷன்ஸ். ஸோ தட் இஸ் கால் சிங்கிள் யூசர் மல்டி டாஸ்க். ஒரு யூசர் தான் கம்ப்யூட்டர் இருக்கு, அது கீபோர்டு உண்டு தான், மவுஸ் உண்டு தான், பட் தேர் இஸ் நோ மல்டி ஆப்ஷன்ஸ். ஸோ தென் single user multitask example. Third one, multi-user multitask. Ella server edition, which means Windows Server. I think 2018, 2016, 2000 versions. Other versions in Windows Server. So Ubuntu Server. There is also operating system because there is a server. Because that server, it is, I think, it's a distributive system. Okay. Maybe you can use your Google, yeah, of course, Google, your browser, when you search that time, because your PC, you use your Google, and meantime, another person can access via mobile phone, and another one can use a different one, Facebook, these all applications, because it was installed in some one particular server, web server, then everywhere we use with the multi different devices, cross platform, and we access that one. And this is called multi-user multitasking. It does not only the web page, because now web page explain panna because of we are familiar with the Facebook and those stuff. But especially for you, you can see that the Windows edition, server edition, in your ICT lab, you can control the entire ICT by using that one. அப்போ அதில் இருக்கிற ஹார்ட் டிஸ்கில் இருக்கிற ஸ்பேஸை எனக்கு அதில் அந்த லெப்பில் இருக்கிற எல்லா கம்ப்யூட்டருக்கும் போயிட்டு கனெக்ட் பண்ணி அதுக்கு சர்வ் பண்ணுறதுக்கு வைக்கிறோம். அது சொல்கிறேன் சென்ட்ரல் டிஸ்ட்ரிபியூட்டிவ் செட்டப். Okay, centralized system. Okay, so then that is called Windows user multitask, multi-user. Then there's a fourth one called real-time application. அதுக்கு வந்து ரியல் ஓஎஸ் என்னொன்று இருக்குது. So they do not usually ask, especially ATM machine, that is a real-time user, and flight control system, that is called real-time user. So this is called real-time applications. Okay, my dear students. So because அது இங்க active ஆகுனதோட it distributes the informations for all of the clients. Clients means that dump clients, or there are so many options out there. So this is the concept of the types of operating system. Okay, maybe you can use this one. Okay, now let's move to the next one. Services as OS or function of OS. Function of operating system. So mainly we can categorize some function of operating systems. And before we move to the function of operating systems, what is operating system? When you say what is operating system, OS that facilitate, because OS means operating system, huh? That facilitate It facilitates interactions between the human user and the computer hardware. So mainly using your user interface, because we are interacting your hardware through the, because let's say you have a mouse. Can you use your mouse without operating system? Or a mouse irikide, keyboard irikide, but there is no operating system. Can you use that one? No, because it's functions that allows you to use your mouse operating system. Huh? So therefore, mainly because user interface is the key area. So the user interface, there are two types of user interface. Number one, CUI or CLI, character user interface, or CLI, character line interface. Because here I don't need a mouse or any other. Keyboard is the primary input device. There is no mouse, no graphics. It's high speed. Why? Because there is no graphics. The resource cannot allocate any other the options to run smoothly through the graphics elements. Graphics, just imagine your games. Or games the games the graphics kuda PC stuck on. So it's more faster when you compare with the GUI. So next one is GUI, graphical user interface. This is the main WIMP. W means Windows. I means icon. M means menu. P means pointer. ഇത് ഇരിക്കുന്നതാണ് GUI. If you do not have a Windows, because Windows desktop icons and your file explorer, those stuff we call as a Windows. Icons, icons. Menus, right click menu. And pointer, your mouse pointer. If there is no mouse pointer, then we do not mention the term called GUI. That is a CLI. So CLI, we use only the keyboard. Only keyboard. Okay. So every actions we use command, because we must memorize a command to access this CUI based operating system. But the GUI, it does not want to memorize the keys, because everything is more graphical, straightforward. Once you click, single click, something happen, double click, run, third click, three click, and it gives a different functions. So this is the basic idea about the user interface. Quickly note it down. Okay. Now the next one is resource management. Okay, resource management. Uh, Maybe you need a differentiation. So this is user friendly and mouse, keyboard, and etc. And next one, graphical menus and etc. because it's in the web part. And it's little slower than this one. No? So when you compare this one, no need to memorize any of the syntax. But here you should memorize the syntax and etc. because you can uh, compare with those. Okay, now the next one. Resource management. Under the resource management, number one, file management. I can use like this. File management, process management, memory management, file management, network management, device management, okay, etc. Security management, okay, you see that there are so many managerial options are under the operating system. It's everything because the file is also under the file management. Use simple term. I hope you have seen in the grade 7 and the grade 8, if I'm not wrong, file and extension. So your file name is there. Let's say abc.docx. Then you see that file folder look like a Word. Then if you use pptx, you see that that icon is different because these icons are defined by the operating systems according to this extension. This is called file extension. This is called file name. Okay, the folder we usually technically we use a term called directory, but the file also having a management because now you open a first folder and there's a partitions C D O E. Then C inside there is a user, Windows, and etc. etc. And maybe see you see that the document, desktop, picture, library, uh, picture, document, music, uh, photo, etc. Then D, you can use any types of name folder. Create a folder. You can define whatever you want. And this is a directory type. And inside the directory, you can use a save a folder, files, documents, Word documents, PowerPoint documents, and etc. etc. So this is the file management area because the file is relevant to the I/O devices to each process, ensure etc. Okay, so take this one: the file management, process management, memory management, network management, device management, and etc. Because this file management is directly accessing through the hard disk. That a hard disk is divided into the partition, task, and cylinder, and etc. etc. And you save that files into that one that is called memory management, and the files are loaded into the hard disk as electromagnetical waves or SSD means. There is also types of different one zeros electric pulses, and it's stored somewhere that in the hard disks or RAM. It's controlled by the memory management, and whenever you are double click and run execute to the process, so that is called process management. Okay, my dear student, these are the basic idea. So the all of the process is divided into smaller chunks, and it's split into the thread and the process. And the process is the sub process called threads and etc. So that is you will learn about this further details in the advanced level. For the advanced level, chapter 5, there are numerous options are there, and there are only 5.1 to 5.4 then competencies. But in that 5.1 to 5.4, there is a history and process management, memory management, and etc. Then you will see that there is a process diagram and etc. is there. But in here, there is a very brief idea what is a file management and the process management, and you can see these documents, the details. So the files, because the file management simply first option called this one. Files, there's a two types of things, file name and the extension. Then you can create files and save into the suitable place C or D, and you give the names and you delete the names, delete files and folder, create files and folder, and edit files and folder, etc. etc. These are the main options under the file management. For the process management. Okay, I'll explain the process management. Just take this note, my dear student, because today itself I can cover all the the chapter 5 topics. And here process management. Uh, process management. Okay, students, simply we can say divide a large tasks. Maybe create a document. It's a large task. One set up exe file or maybe whatever this one. It's chunked into the process. Okay, it's the larger tasks into smaller tasks. Okay, divide the larger tasks into smaller tasks. Okay, the larger task, your printing document or create a document, videos and YouTube and browser and etc. etc. Then divide the larger tasks into smaller tasks we call as a process. If you want to see this process, go to the taskbar. There's a taskbar. Right click. There's a task manager. Click the task manager. You see there are so many tasks are there in the process. Under the process, you will see that there are numerous processes are there. Even though if there is no such applications open, ഒരു application open ഇല്ലാട്ടിയും background supports graphics or a start button and task manager, background, desktop, icons, etc., etc. So all of them are having some supportive background processes. So therefore, the tasks converted into the smaller task called process. It allocates time. It allocates time, memory space, and I/O devices. Input I/O devices means input/output devices. Because if you want to take a printout, without a printout, you won't be able to take a print. Because then whenever you are calling the printer, automatically the control unit gives a signal to the printer. Then you can take a control and it's getting ready. You see that sounds, some sounds are coming. When you give a printout, then only it will be work. So it gives some sound sense, it's get ready. Then only you can see in the messages. So this is a basic idea about the process management. The process management, you see that go to the task manager, and in the task manager you see there is a process, and in the process you can see all of the records. Okay. So whenever you are double click and execute, there is the programs splitted into the process, and that will be run into the memory RAM. Then the memory spaces, the functions and the instructions or conditions are loaded into the RAM. That is called process. Okay. So this is a basic idea about the process management. So in advanced level, there are so many options available. Don't worry about this one. But in here, this is enough. For the memory management, my dear students, so the memory management, it's a huge task because whenever you double click, that must be loaded into the RAM. And actually the RAM means the each RAM slots, it's look like the RAMs are there. Let's say here, there are different lines. So then here you can see that the RAM slot numbers are there. 1, 2, 3. Let's say 1, 2, 3 because it's a huge task, but I'm not going to explain further. 5, 6, 7, 8. Then whenever you are running your hard disk item, double click file. Then it will be loaded into the RAM and specific number of uh, RAM slot spaces. It gives a spaces. This is called memory management, and this will be transferred to the CPU registry and etc. So this is called fetch execute cycle. So here from this one you can see that it runs into the RAM and everything will be loaded into the registry, and the registry will be controlled by the control unit and takes and read the instructions and send to the uh, 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 ALU, arithmetical, whether it is arithmetical, then you can see that arithmetical function. Then if it is arithmetical functions, you see that the arithmetical operations done by the ALU, arithmetic, and the logic, if there's a logic greater than lesser than AND or gate, not gate, such a thing, then it will be allocated like that. So that is a process management. So see, this is the basic idea about the memory management and the process management. Okay, my dear students. For the memory management, especially you see that specifically uh, CPU and registry. Okay. So the memory management means this is a memory management. It gives especially allocate specifically allocate space to the process space for the process and freeze. Okay, freeze that memory once the task is complete. So whenever you are double click and it gives allocate the spaces and it sent to the registry, then all of the control are taken by the CU and it allocates the arithmetical purpose items are under the arithmetical supervision and the logic are under the logical supervision. So therefore the registry is a memory block, memory of the CPU. So then once it is complete the tasks, the memory management, what will happen, it will be absolute those data, erase those data and clear those data, and it gives it spaces for the new process. And this is how it is happening continuously. This is called process and memory. Then there is a, we discuss about the file management, process management, memory management. Simple problems, okay? So even though here also you see that whatever the files are loaded into the RAM memory, then that is considered as a process. That is we call as a process. So because whenever you are double click and open, you see that there is a files are load. It's take word, it gives 60 percentage, 70 percentage, 80 percentage, 100, then only you see that your documents. And whenever the all of the records are the necessary supportive elements are loaded into the RAM, then only you can see that files. Because you see that YouTube on the near load பண்ண போகல, whenever you whenever you see the YouTube, you see that it takes couple of seconds to load, and again it's running smoothly. And once that limit reach, and again it takes some buffering, we call as a buffering, but nowadays it's more speed because 4G 5G concepts are available. But according to the 5G 4G phone also support your high speed, and it quickly load. But there is a real-time applications run under the buffering purpose, because whenever you are open that one, automatically there is a gray color loading part. Because if you drag your that's the processing that particular line into after few couple of seconds later, then you see that they're different. Okay, so I think the quick the pointer, the process pointer, quicker drag பண்ணி இன்னொரு பாயிண்ட்ல வச்சதோட அது ஸ்டக் ஆகுறது லோட் ஆகுறது நீங்க sometimes feel பண்ணிருப்பீங்க. So this is called buffering. So therefore whenever you double click, this will be run into the RAM. So whatever the files loaded into the RAM, then only you can see that film. Even though if you disconnect that one, even though if you disconnect the internet, you see the couple of seconds it will be play. Then only it stop. Okay, அப்ப அது கொஞ்ச நேரம் அது லோட் ஆகும், அதுக்கு பிறகு தான் உங்களுக்கு க்ளோஸ் பண்றதை பார்ப்பீங்க. So this is a basic idea about this one. So the network management, but it is not in the syllabus. The device management, it's actually device, because when you connect the pen drive, it pop-ups. Okay, USB driver is ready to use, and whenever you are click the printer or scanner or whatever the mic external devices, you see there's a some pop-up message in the taskbar area in the right side corner, right side down corner. You see there's a pop-up. It's USB is ready to use, and so on. So because whenever you are plugging up new elements, new hardware, it detects and it's find that controlling the device signals and all, then only you can use those stuff. So there is a concept of the device. Security, that security, you see that your login, logout, username privileges, password, and administrative password, and the local user password. These are the options that we call as a security. And under the security, we use anti-malware software, anti-virus software, anti-spyware. There are so many options available in the operating system. That is also considerably important for the resource management. So this is a story about this one, my dear students. So what you can do, you can see this. You can take down. Okay, my dear students. So now you see this is a simple tasks, and you see the operating system questions, operating system, and you can fulfill this one. Software can be divided into two: system software, application software, and all the records. What is the example of operating system? Utility, language translator, types of OS, single use OS, multi-use OS, multitasking OS, real-time OS. The main services of OS, you see that resource management, the UI, and the CLI means character user interface or character line interface. GUI, graphical user interface. Managing resources, you can write it down this one, and you see the questions. Here there is maybe there will be one MCQ questions or one or two MCQs, and the part two you can see around two or three questions are coming into the part two compulsory questions, and you see that one. Please read those stuff and do the exercise. If you feel any other difficulties, please let me know. This is a complete subject knowledge about the operating systems. Okay, my dear students. So uh, don't worry, because you see that one, you will do this one and send you a reply. Okay, and take a write down your answer. And I hope you all have a book, this book, and write down and take a snapshot and send it to my personal number. Then I will correct this one. And because rather I explain anything else regarding, because you must do that one. Just முதல்ல நீங்க செஞ்சிருக்கணும். அதுக்கு பிறகு தான் எங்களுக்கு டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணிடும். So next week we will start the word processing software. Okay, so that is also very easiest one, but it's not complicated. I'll try to use my system, and I will show the system also. Then it's easy for you to understand that. Okay, so it's that is also very easiest one. Okay, let's wind up our session. If you have any questions, please send a message and WhatsApp, or maybe you can ask now also, because once all of them are releases, then you can ask. If you have a questions, you can ask. No issues. Feel free to ask. Please don't keep your doubts, and it will be a problem, because I will prepare a smart activity login page, and I will share some questions with you. Please write down the answers for that, and you can just check your activities as well. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. God bless you. Okay, thank you. Good night. Uh, Yeah, Dylan, any questions? Or questions in here, Digita? Okay, thank you very much.